Yo, what is happening, guys? How are you all doing? This is Rob of Rule of Two Review. Welcome back to the channel, and today, let's discuss the possible future for Super Smash Bros. So this is a topic that's been in my head for quite a while. Super Smash Bros. Smash Ultimate is coming out very soon by the end of the year in just a couple of months. It's crazy exciting. The game is going to be amazing. I have no doubt it's going to blow our minds and very possibly be the best Smash Brothers ever. I know it's kind of a controversial statement because everyone, prefers this game to that game. The Melee players never want to budge. They think it's the best Smash Brothers ever. And hey, it might be the best Smash Brothers ever. I don't really have a very strong opinion on that. But I do think Ultimate has the chance to be the most incredible experience ever. Very, very excited. And through that, I've been thinking a lot about Super Smash Bros. Just as a series. As a whole, considering everything that the series has gone through since its inception. And I am old enough to have played the first on the Nintendo 64 when it was brand new. I mean, I think that was 99, so I would have been 18 or 19 years old when Super Smash Bros. First started. That is how old I am. And so with Ultimate coming, with Ultimate giving us every single character that's ever been, even new characters, every stage ever, more new stages, the most amount of everything possible. Like, it's got the highest number of characters, stages, music, trophies, whatever. It's like, where do they possibly go from here? I mean, that's really it, man. That's the question in my mind. Where does Super Smash Bros. Go after Super Smash Bros. Ultimate launches? And it's a really hard question to answer because it almost feels like when you look at the pantheon of Super Smash Bros. And you go from the original to Brawl to Melee to Wii U and 3DS and now to Ultimate, and you watch how the series has evolved and changed and grown into something bigger and bigger and better and more exciting across the board, and new features and new characters and stages, third-party characters, DLC is introduced. It's been insane. Online gameplay has been introduced. It's like, are we leading to literally the best Super Smash Bros. Can be? Is there anything they can really do to the series that even is worthwhile after Super Smash Bros. Ultimate comes out? I mean, going from this small, quirky, little gimmicky experience on the 64 in the 90s to now Ultimate, the ultimate Super Smash Bros. With everything ever. It's like, I don't know, I guess the question is this going to be the peak, and can they never duplicate it? So, if we start to answer this question, we think, what is the life of Super Smash Bros. Beyond Smash Bros. Ultimate? What could they possibly do to keep the series going? And there's a couple of different options. There's probably many different options. I've got three main ideas that I want to discuss, three different branching routes or timelines, if we want to call them, post Super Smash Bros. Ultimate to consider where Nintendo might want to take it after this game comes out. And the first is probably the most unique and the hardest to talk about. So I wanted to kind of get this one out of the way and really see what you guys have to say about this idea. So one of the things I think that they might do, or they might consider doing, and I even think that they should consider doing, would be sort of a very fresh reset of everything Super Smash Bros. Now, the tricky part to this idea is that I don't even 100% know what that would look like. How do you reset Super Smash Bros? How do you start over? Because again, we're getting to the point where there's such an obscene amount of characters and stages and content in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. It almost feels like we're running out of video game characters, and we're damn near running out of Nintendo characters. I mean, at some point, the limit will be reached. I think that there is a ceiling to what you can include into Super Smash Bros. Even if we're not quite there with Ultimate, we're getting really close. We're knocking on that door. And so that's where I start to feel like at some point with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, the content amount is just going to boil over. It's going to fall over the edge. And it's like, well, how do you continue to go? I mean, we don't really know. And so resetting becomes a very interesting idea to me. And I guess a reset could be just making the next game a smaller experience. Maybe they reduce the character count down to something very small and manageable, like 12 or 15 characters. If I remember right, I think it was 12 in the original Smash Brothers. Don't quote me, it might be a little bit more than that. But regardless, between 10 and 15 characters for the next Smash Brothers game. Maybe they reduce the amount of stages. Maybe they change up to a degree what the combat looks like, what is the damage scale looks like. Maybe they change it from a percentage to something different. Maybe they use a more traditional life bar or something completely different that I'm not even thinking of. I mean, these are the kinds of things that make me wonder, maybe they need to just straight up change what Super Smash Bros. Is after Ultimate. Maybe it's more about a tag team sort of thing as opposed to just a 1-on-1 or a 4-on-4 or 8-on-8, whatever, you know, everything that they've done so far. Maybe they change how the fighting actually happens. Maybe it's 3-on-3. Maybe it's, I don't know, 100 other different options. I mean, heck, ever since Subspace Emissary came out with Super Smash Bros. Brawl, I've had this idea in my head of what if they just did a Super Smash Bros. Game that wasn't a fighting game at all and was just some sort of weird Nintendo adventure game where it's just all Nintendo characters thrown in together. They could use the Smash Brothers moniker and turn it from less of a multiplayer fighting game into more of like either a single player adventure or even a multiplayer adventure or a campaign adventure game that has a different sort of smaller multiplayer online component built into it as a side thing. I mean, some of these things may sound so crazy or even offensive to diehard Smash Brothers fans that you're just wanting to yell and throw tomatoes at your screen at my face because you can't hear what I'm saying. But again, I'm only just riffing random ideas. This isn't necessarily stuff I'm saying I wish they would do or I don't wish they would do. But they're ideas, right? I mean, how do we imagine Smash Brothers after Ultimate, and how do we imagine a reset to Smash Brothers? There could be an argument to be made that if you did something like just reduce the number of characters and stages with the next Smash Brothers game, basically start over, that might make people mad. They might not see it as a benefit to start over and make it a smaller experience. They might see it as a de-evolution or a step backwards. And to be fair, that might not even be wrong, depending on how Nintendo would execute it. Maybe it would be that, and maybe it would be a mistake to do it. But I also wonder if maybe there's a way to do it that wouldn't feel like a mistake, in a way that would be exciting, and even if they made it something where it became just like a $20 or $30 download, and keep in mind, I hate downloading games, so I don't want that idea. But I think about a realistic way for Nintendo to sell a future Smash Brothers experience that is a reset of the experience. Maybe they start small with downloaded stuff, like a $20 download file with just a couple of characters and some tweaks and some changes to like the foundational gameplay that we know Smash Brothers to be right now. They tweak that somehow, and they reduce the content and characters, and then, because it would be a digital experience, it might become like a games as a service kind of thing. And again, I don't like or want that, but I think it's a realistic thing to consider down the road. In 5 years, if we're going to get another Smash Brothers, who knows, Nintendo might be willing to consider something so drastically different to their huge franchise Super Smash Brothers. So, I don't know, these are the ideas that I've had for a while. Is there a way to reset Smash Brothers? And beyond that, is there then a way to reset Smash Brothers in a successful way that feels true and just and right for the series and that would make fans happy and excited and be a good game? Or is there no way for them to do that? And if they did a reset, it would just be basically a complete catastrophe from the get-go. I mean, we don't really know, but I think it's a worthy idea to consider. Now, the second option that I wanted to bring up to you guys is actually the complete opposite of what I just said. What if Smash Brothers just continues as it is and just continues to get bigger, and they throw more stuff at it, they make the roster larger, they create new characters for it, they bring in more third-party characters, maybe they finally do hit that ceiling of Nintendo characters that makes sense, maybe they start bringing in characters so ridiculous and uninteresting that it starts to become a problem, and maybe there's just no way to change or reset what Smash Brothers currently is. I think I have to admit that this might be the least interesting of the options when I think about it. And it's weird because in a lot of cases, I say more of the same thing is always good, and I have no problems with that. With something like Smash, with as long as it's been going and with how much content we've been getting with each new edition, I'm kind of at the point where maybe this is one of those instances where I don't think that's true. And it would be not the greatest thing to just continue on doing what you've always done and to be too afraid to change up the formula drastically. But I do think that it's also a viable option. Maybe Smash Brothers is always only meant to be what it is, the same thing, only slightly bigger, and slightly bigger, and slightly bigger, and slightly bigger, and Smash is always going to be one thing with one fighting formula with just more fighters added every time. that could be the future and the fate of Smash Brothers, and there's no way that Nintendo is ever going to change it, and maybe there's no way to successfully change it. That is entirely possible. I don't want to believe it. I think Nintendo is creative enough to find a way to keep Smash Brothers alive, even without doing the same thing over and over and over again. And so that's why when I think about this, it doesn't get me excited. But, you know, let's pretend we live in a world where this is what Nintendo would do. I mean, we're coming up on the 5th iteration of Smash Brothers, and literally they've never significantly changed it. Now, they've added some modes, and they've changed things, obviously. Smash Run is different from Subspace Emissary, is different from the Home Run thing, is different from Smash Tour. Yeah, they get some different modes in there, in and out, that's different, absolutely. But again, as I was talking about with the first option, the foundation of the fighting and the gameplay and the formula that makes up Smash has never changed since the first game. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I am ready for my 5th outing with Ultimate. I think it's going to be amazing, so I'm fine with that. But I do think that there's a chance that after Ultimate, when in the years following the release of this game, when it's just become part of the community and people eventually will start to turn their eyes towards wondering about the next Smash, Smash Brothers 6 after Ultimate, there is a chance that Nintendo might need to find a way to do something more than just make it bigger. And in fact, that's kind of the other element about this idea that does make me a little bit nervous. Because while I acknowledge there's a huge chance Nintendo is never going to significantly change Smash, and Smash Brothers 6 in 5 years is literally going to be just another Smash that's just bigger, there is a chance that not only that I won't really be that interested in it, but I think that the community and the fans might begin to sort of turn against it around the release of that next game if it's more of the same. We really might see even the diehard dedicated Smash community say, all right, Nintendo, again with this, like, you've made so many games, Smash Ultimate was so great, but you already gave us so many characters and so many stages. We are really hoping you can change up Smash in some meaningful way with number 6. And if they don't, then I think the people might start to say, hey, Nintendo, we're getting fed up with this. The first 5 games were great, but now you got to change it. We're not happy with another clone of Smash Ultimate. As much as it doesn't excite me, I think it's a very realistic scenario we might have to prepare for in a couple of years when the next Smash after Ultimate might be releasing. And so with that, let's move on to the last option that I wanted to discuss. Again, there are other ways that we could theorize about how Nintendo might change or do something with Smash after Ultimate releases. But I wanted to focus on just these 3. And so the third one I wanted to talk about is going to rock your world when I say it, but you got to hear me out here. It might stop completely. That's right. What if Smash Ultimate was to somehow become the last Smash Brothers game ever? The final game. I mean, I've already said this in this video. It's called Ultimate. It has the most amount of characters and stages and content. And it's an insane amount. It's not even just that it's the most that's been in this game. When you just quantify the numbers, as they did in that Nintendo Direct, the numbers are mind-boggling. It's staggering how much crap is thrown into this game. And while it's incredibly exciting leading into this 5th version of this series that has yet to really change, there is a chance that internally Nintendo is acknowledging, this is it. This is where we have to end it. All good things come to an end. Nothing should go on forever. Don't beat a dead horse. Don't make so much of something that you actually end up ruining it. Like I was just saying, if you made Smash 6 and it's more of the same, we might tip the scales to the side of Nintendo starting to ruin Smash Brothers. And so maybe Nintendo knows that. They are a smart company. They are the best #1 video game developer in the industry, in my opinion. There's no one making better games. There are some close companies, Naughty Dog and Bethesda, Rockstar and stuff, but for me, Nintendo still makes the best games. And they are a smart company. They would know if they would be ruining Smash by continuing to make more of the same, or if it's time to just put it to bed. Maybe Smash needs to end at some point, and considering we're getting the ultimate Smash, maybe this is it. I mean, what if, you guys? Like, what do you think about that? Is there a chance that Ultimate would be the last Smash Brothers game? Should it be the last Smash Brothers game? Should they never end Smash and it's supposed to go on forever? It's really hard to say, and let's be real here, Smash is also a huge moneymaker for Nintendo, and it moves units. It sells hardware. It's hard to let something like that go, absolutely. So that's where, you know, one might say an artist's integrity comes into play. Is it worth it to keep making this thing that you don't think should be made anymore just because you know you can make money off of it? Or does your integrity as an artist say, this is where it has to end because this is what's right for the series, this is what's right for the story, this is what's right for the game, this is what's right for the art I have been creating, in this case Smash Brothers. And the right thing to do is to make this 5th Ultimate game and then call it good. The story of Super Smash Bros. Ends here because it's the best thing to do it, and because we can never top it, and we will never be able to make fans happy after we release this game. Those are realistic scenarios that makes me believe, yeah, there is a tiny window of chance that Nintendo would consider ending Smash Bros. Outright after Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Now, I again am not saying that I even want that. I would only want that if Nintendo told us that they knew it was the right thing, because I would believe them. I'd be like, okay, Nintendo says the right thing to do is to end it with Smash Bros. Ultimate, so I believe them. I don't want them to force a 6th game, because that 6th game will turn out like garbage if their hearts and their souls and their passion isn't behind it. If they're churning it out just for the money-making machine it is, the game will suffer. So far, they've been churning them out both as a money-making machine and also because you can tell that they care, and Sakurai cares. And so the products have been good while also making money. But those things will eventually stop crossing, and you're only going to get a moneymaker that's a garbage experience, and that'll eventually just choke the series out of existence anyway. So I don't know, man. I think I'm going to wrap it up here. Those are really the 3 main ideas that came to my head. It's a very interesting situation, I think, when you really start to dissect it. And I was really excited to talk about this for a while. I got this idea in my head months ago. I think after we knew Smash Brothers was announced at the Nintendo Direct in like April or whatever, when they gave us the Splatoon tease, and I started to think about Smash and I got really excited. And then for sure, once we saw that it was Ultimate and had all these characters, I started to think, well, what does Nintendo do after this? What is the future of Smash after this game? And, you know, I finally felt like today was a day I wanted to have this conversation and get some of these ideas out, you know? And it's a weird conundrum, man. Like, what do they do with Smash Brothers after this? Do they reset the formula altogether and try to start over and hopefully not screw it up? Do they change nothing and they keep doing the same thing game after game after game after game after game? Is that even exciting to you guys? I definitely want to hear it. Or do they just give up? Do they stop it completely and they say, Smash is over with Smash Ultimate, it's been a fun ride, let's move on to the next thing? I mean, not to mention plenty of other options. There's so many things, and so that's where I turn to you guys. What do you think about the 3 options I laid out to you? Do any of them make sense? Do you have a preference on any of them? Are there options that I didn't discuss that you think might make sense? Whatever it is, man, talk about it below, because I'm really curious about this. I am very interested to see what Nintendo does in the years after Smash Ultimate. How do we see this series continue, if at all? And if it went away, that would be weird. That would be weird, right? It would feel like there's like this weird gaping hole in like the gaming world if there was no Smash Brothers. But sometimes games end, man. It's a thing. Movies end, trilogies end, game franchises end, books end. I mean, things end, you guys. So it's not insane to think that they wouldn't end the series, and maybe it's the right thing to do. So anyway, I'm going to stop rambling and end this video. Very curious as to your guys' thoughts, so please discuss it below. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this idea. And that is going to be it for me. Thanks as always for tuning in, guys. This is Rob of Ro2R, and I'll catch you next time on another video.